to do something about gun violence in America. And I will take it on. I believe we are smart enough, we are compassionate enough to figure out how to balance the legitimate Second Amendment rights with preventive measures and control measures so that whatever motivated this murderer, who eventually took his own life, we will not see more deaths, needless, senseless deaths.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and joining us now, as promised, Jim Gilmore, the former governor of the state of Virginia, president of Free Congress Foundation, and, of course, presidential candidate. Governor, welcome, sir.
Good. Thank you very much, Steve.
Well, we'll get to the campaign in a second. I want you to weigh in as a former governor of the state of Virginia, certainly the horrific crime committed yesterday in Roanoke. And, of course, the sitting governor of Virginia came out and said basically what Hillary said. And when asked, he didn't even know at the time whether or not the shooter had passed a background check, which he did. What's your take on the left's attempt to hijack this into a gun control issue?
Well, of course, also, Steve, you know, I come to your viewers as a national board member of the National Rifle Association, so I feel a deep dedication to people's rights under the Second Amendment. That's why I joined the board of the NRA, and I'm pleased that I'm a part of it. Listen, this is what I think. I think that's absolutely wrong for the left to automatically, immediately use these kinds of tragedies, this terrible tragedy that we've seen here, in order to further their left-wing political agenda. The people of the United States have their rights under the Second Amendment. The Supreme Court's made it clear. The language is very clear. And I, for one, intend to stand up for the people's gun rights here in the United States under the Second Amendment. But as soon as this tragedy occurred, the people had been killed, the fellow hadn't even been caught yet, and you already saw the governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, who's very close to the Clintons, come out and call for more gun control. Then you saw the president's man go before the people in a press conference and call for more gun control. And then there's the clip that you just showed with Hillary Clinton.
Right.
One thing is perfectly clear, and that is if Hillary Clinton becomes president of the United States, our gun rights under the Second Amendment, our rights under the Second Amendment are in jeopardy.
I agree, and not to put you in an awkward position because we can't, you know, and never want to be in their shoes, but I find it sad that the father of Allison Park, the woman who was killed, is all over TV, not just talking about his daughter and not just calling for more gun rights, but calling the NRA some really bad names, as if the NRA is somehow to blame for this. And in your capacity, I was wondering what you would say to that.
Well, I certainly haven't seen his clip, and I'm not a spokesman for the National Rifle Association. I speak for myself. I speak on behalf of my candidacy as President of the United States. But I do think that it's sad. This is a case where a fellow purchased a gun, apparently. He passed a background check. All the safeguards were in place. And yet he committed this terrible and heinous crime. I have, of course, on numerous statements, made it clear that I think that the real issue that we're facing here today is the fact that there are people who are not well, mentally ill, who are out in the community, and they are a danger. So we have to do something to identify people before they actually attack others. I think that family members, friends, acquaintances, people who think that people are unbalanced and unstable, they really ought to be reporting it. They ought to be trying to get the people some help before they turn around and hurt other people. This is an issue of mental illness. When I was the governor of Virginia, I endeavored to move mental health treatment and care more into the community so that there would be more access to it. And I think that that's the answer to the problem. It makes no sense to blame the gun. I pointed out in a recent story that this past Sunday night that there was a terrible tragedy in Oklahoma where a young man who was unbalanced attacked his father with a knife and killed him. So we really have to address the mental illness and stop diverting attention away from the real issue by talking about trying to eliminate people's Second Amendment rights.
How is your campaign going, Governor?
Well, it's going very well, Steve. We just got in a few weeks ago. We're very happy with things. We have our staff people on the ground in New Hampshire and in South Carolina. I've gotten a lot of attention lately because of my positions that I am standing up for people's birthrights, under the 14th Amendment. And there's a philosophical reason behind it. I think if you read history, it's a very dangerous thing to give government the ability to begin to say who's a citizen, who's not a citizen, who's entitled to rights under the 14th Amendment and who's not. That's not a good thing, and as a conservative, I object to.
Governor, even
Trump's
going
position.
forward, and not to interrupt, but I can understand anybody who's been born here, so I don't agree with grandfathering it either, but you don't think going forward we have to do something about people who come here just to have their baby born to have them become a citizen?
There, I think, are other ways of dealing with that. You can make inquiries about whether a person is expecting a child before they come into this country. You can do other things, but I think that to throw out birthright citizenship is not a good idea. On the other hand, I believe that illegals who are here, even if they have children here, and we have many, many that are in school and are natural born Americans, and I think they're going to be an asset to us, but the parents are here illegally. I do not favor an amnesty that says that they have a path to citizenship. I think that if they want to become citizens, they're going to have to obey the American law,
right,
leave the country, and apply citizenship. But I will say this, going forward, starting now, we've already dealt with a problem in the past. We've had this problem in the past. We've inherited that. I would address it by having people stay with a work permit but no path to citizenship. But starting with a date certain, starting now, anybody that overstays their visas or comes in this country illegally must be deported upon being detected.
Okay, I want you to hear something else Hillary had to say just today and get your response pretty quickly. Here we go.
Extreme views about women, we expect that from some of the terrorist groups. We expect that from people who don't want to live in the modern world. But it's a little hard to take coming from Republicans who want to be the president of the United States, yet they...
All right, she said there's extreme views on women. We expect that from terrorist groups, but not for people who want to be president of the United States. What do you think of that rhetoric?
Well, it's just very divisive, but that's been the pattern of the American left and the Democratic Party for years and years, which is to divide one American from another, rich from poor, try to actually bring in a sort of a class kind of concept that really doesn't exist in this country, black from white, women from men. It's an effort to divide America, and now what they want to do is divide the Republican Party and divide all of the Americans from the Latino community.
Is it a little hypocritical? We got 30 seconds. A little hypocritical that on the, just a day after she comes out after this horrific shooting and talks about guns, now she's calling Republicans terrorist groups?
I think it's awful rhetoric, Steve, and really should not be tolerated by a presidential candidate. But I made it clear back in April that Hillary Clinton has got to be the kind of person who can restore people's faith in their government, and I believe she cannot do that because of the email and the foundation and the other kinds of problems that she's had, and therefore I do not believe I believe she's now disqualified.
Governor, you have a website, real quick?
I do, Gilmore for America.
Okay, Gilmore for America. Governor Gilmore, great to talk to you again, sir. Thank you very much. We're coming back, folks. A lot more ahead. Don't go away.